Tell them, ooh, love, no one's ever gonna hurt you, love. I'm gonna give you all of my love. Nobody matters like you.
Hey guys, Moza here, and today I'm bringing you my opinion on the trade of Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans. Now, without further ado, let's get started. Now, on June 6, 2021, the Atlanta Falcons traded wide receiver Julio Jones and a 2023 6th-round pick for the 2022 second-round pick, along with a 4th-rounder in 2023 from the Tennessee Titans. And now A.J. Brown and Julio Jones are on the same team. Derrick Henry's on that team as well. And you also got Ryan Tannehill at quarterback. That team is going to be insane as the Falcons get scraps for Julio Jones. They should have gotten a lot more. He's at least worth a first-round pick. And to be honest, I'm going to say this. Julio Jones is going to succeed a lot more in Tennessee than he ever did in Atlanta. Now, in 2011, the Atlanta Falcons gave him a chance. He got 13 games, 13 starts, 54 receptions, 959 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Now, to be honest, the Atlanta Falcons were a decent team back in 2011 and maybe even a good team. But still, regardless of that, that was a very good year for Julio Jones, especially because it was his first one as a full-on starter, as he was a first-round pick from the Atlanta Falcons. But then 2012 came along. Now, on to the 2012 Falcons, who went on to the NFC Championship game and faced off against the 49ers. He got 16 games, 15 starts, 79 receptions, 1,198 yards, and 10 touchdowns. His stats went up as he got more receptions. Now, that is something that you honestly want in a wide receiver every single time. And honestly, Julio Jones is starting to show what kind of a receiver he could be in the future. And honestly, well done for Julio Jones. The Atlanta Falcons hit on that draft pick, and honestly, there was a downturn in 2013. Now, on to 2013, where the Falcons only got him for 5 games, as he only had 41 receptions, 580 yards, and 2 touchdowns, because on October 7th, 2013, he had actually fractured his foot in Week 5 in a loss to the New York Jets, and would be out for the entirety of the season. Now, to be honest, this is a very good year for him, even though he was injured. Because, by the way, he didn't do that well, but in 5 games, that was pretty good. He's basically getting over 100 yards per game. And honestly, 2 touchdowns, alright. That's alright. But he was injured, so we gotta take that season out. Even though it is proven that he is injury prone, he's not one of those players that doesn't get injured ever. But regardless of that, he's still a very good wide receiver, and he showed it in 2014. Now, in 2014, he actually got 15 starts, 15 games, 104 yards, 1,593 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Of course, touchdowns went down, but his yardage went up. And I know yardage doesn't win games, but the more yards you get, the more chances you get for touchdowns. And to be honest, the Atlanta Falcons in 2015 and 2014 and 2016 were the better of all teams that he actually was on, because after that he really went on a downturn because the team went on a downturn. But to be honest, the Atlanta Falcons did very well in the years to come after 2014. Now, on to the 2015 Atlanta Falcons. 16 games, 16 starts, 136 receptions, 1,871 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Yards again went up as more receptions he got, and even touchdowns went up. But still, he is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL at this time. And honestly, he continues to do so. And honestly, even though they didn't make the Super Bowl in 2015, it was still a heck of a year for the Atlanta Falcons. And honestly, the Atlanta Falcons really deserve to go to the Super Bowl in 2016. Now, in 2016, the Atlanta Falcons decided we're going to be even better and go to the Super Bowl, which they did. Of course, 83 receptions, 1,489 yards, and then 6 touchdowns. Yeah, that's not pretty good for a wide receiver who had 1,800 the year prior. But still, he made the Super Bowl, and he even made some insane catches in the Super Bowl. But unfortunately for the Falcons, they actually lost the Super Bowl in an epic comeback by the New England Patriots. But besides that, the Atlanta Falcons have a good wide receiver at that time, and his name was Julio Jones. And in 2017 and ahead, even though the Falcons were bad, Julio Jones was still their number one receiver. Now, in 2017, the Falcons weren't good, but the Atlanta Falcons wide receiver was even better, as 16 games played, 16 starts, 88 receptions, and 1,444 yards, and 3 touchdowns. The Atlanta Falcons have a good wide receiver in Julio Jones, and it's their number one. Honestly, they needed more wide receivers. That's why in the future they get Calvin Ridley, and of course they had Roddy White in the past. But really, Julio Jones was always that main guy that Matt Ryan throws to every single time. Like mostly in the game, you see like all your receivers. Oh, this guy's running a post. Oh, this guy's running a out. Well, I'm gonna throw it to the guy who I believe is open. In Atlanta, majority of the throws were to Julio. Why? Because he was the best wide receiver and the only one who managed to get open enough for Matt Ryan to see him and throw the ball to him. But regardless of that, the Atlanta Falcons in 2018, 2019, and 2020, even though they weren't good, they still had an incredible wide receiver. Now in 2018, he had 113 receptions out of playing all 16 games. He had 1,677 yards and 8 touchdowns. So you see his stats are going up even more the more he plays and the more receptions he gets actually. But regardless of that, you get to see this. Atlanta still is a horrible team at this time. They're not making the playoffs. And honestly, their last shot to make the Super Bowl was back in 2016 when they lost the Patriots in the Super Bowl. But to be honest, these teams could have actually made the Super Bowl, but Dan Quinn was just not leading them to the Super Bowl anymore. He was just leading them to what you call a toilet bowl. But regardless of that, they still had an incredible wide receiver that could help them, and that was Julio Jones. And he, even though he didn't prove it in 2019 or 2020, he still proved it throughout his entire career. Now in 2019, the Atlanta Falcons, he only got 15 games, all of them starts of course. He had 99 receptions, 1,394 yards, and 6 touchdowns. As I stated, the less receptions he gets, the lower the stats. But regardless of that, that doesn't mean he's not a good wide receiver. It just means he's not getting as much. Because I believe this was when they actually drafted Calvin Ridley in the first round. And he's starting to get some reps in 2019. So he's taking the ball away from Julio Jones. Even though Roddy White actually served the same option. But still, Calvin Ridley is not Roddy White. And honestly, the 2020 season was not the best, but it was not the worst for Julio Jones. Now, in 2020, he only got to play 9 games. In week 4, he actually suffered a hamstring injury, which was lingering during the season. When it came to week 13, he actually had to miss the entire season after that, due to that same hamstring injury he suffered. And honestly, after 9 games, all of them being starts, he had 51 receptions, 771 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Now, to be honest, Julio Jones, even with an injury, he still produces. He was almost a 1,000-yard receiver on that alone. Like, it's like when Dak Prescott went down. He was the best quarterback out of all the quarterbacks in the NFL, especially when it came to the passing game. But still, he got injured, and then he went to be one of the lowest quarterbacks on that list because he got injured early. Same thing goes for Julio Jones. But to be honest, I think it's going to be a whole lot better for Julio in Tennessee. Now, during his entire career, he played in 135 games, 134 being starts, 848 receptions, 1,896 yards and 60 touchdowns throughout his entire career as an Atlanta Falcon. Now, honestly, I think that is deserving of a future Hall of Famer. He is a future Hall of Famer, even if he wins a Super Bowl or not. Like, really, there are wide receivers that doesn't matter if you win Super Bowls or not. If you're insanely good, you deserve to be in Canton. And that's what will happen with Julio Jones when he retires. But for now, he will be playing with the Tennessee Titans, A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill on that offense. Now, when it comes to the Tennessee Titans and Julio Jones, of course, they still haven't played a game. But honestly, I think Julio Jones fits the system that Mike Vrabel has there in Tennessee. And to be honest, he has a good QB in Ryan Tannehill. He has an incredible running back in Derrick Henry. And he has an insane second wide receiver in A.J. Brown. Now, to be honest, I'm not saying A.J. Brown is going to be relegated to being a scrub. But still, it's good that they have both A.J. Brown and Julio Jones. Because now, when it comes to the division, and honestly, when it comes to the entire season, they most likely will be double digits now. I did predict that they would go under double digits. But that's mostly because it was before the Tennessee Titans traded for Julio Jones and made the team even better. And honestly, I do believe that the Tennessee Titans made the right decision as the Atlanta Falcons made the wrong decision. At least on trading Julio Jones to the Tennessee Titans. Now, that was it for this video. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Tweet me any video ideas. Also, tell me down in the comments below, who do you think will be better? A.J. Brown, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill, or Julio Jones in Tennessee? And tell me your opinions on this trade. Tell me down in the comments below. Now, like this video if you liked it, subscribe, and hit the notification if you want more videos. And I'll see you guys next time.